Welcome back, Stu, to week two of the Dreadnought News podcast. And I think last week's podcast was a smashing success.
Yeah, went all right.
It was a bit amateur hour, but that adds to the authenticity of it. So.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No,
you
I
know
hear you.
what
Mhm.
wasn't amateur hour though was your call on the bellwether seats in the US election. So I believe you've come prepared with some receipts this week to back it up with.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get that going. So yeah, as you can see there, there's not
It's
too
a,
much doubt.
a wall of blue, which is when it's
Yeah,
correctly
so
called yeah, except for
successfully
1 year.
picking president since '84. And
And
weirdly,
then
they're all wrong in 2020 bar one, and then they're right again.
back to picking presidents, yeah, in
Yeah.
2024. So, yeah, 100%, 88%, and then in 2020, 6%, then back up
Yeah,
to
and then back to
88%.
88%. So there's not a lot of doubt that 2020 was not on the level.
Yeah, if anyone wants to say 2020 was legitimate, they have to explain what happened to 15 million Democrat voters who
Yeah.
disappeared in 2024 when they had been repeatedly told, hey, this is, a critical, most important election of your life. If you don't vote, a convicted felon rapist is going to come to power. You better vote. And 15
Mm,
million of them
mm.
decided not to. That doesn't make sense to me. If you, you know, if you, it's like, I always thought of the 2020 election, even without any evidence. I always thought you could probably know that it was fraud by the question, y- the traditional question you would ask, if you could go back in time and murder baby Hitler, would you do it? And, obviously murdering a child is evil. Okay. But
Mm.
in this situation, knowing what Hitler went on to do, it's actually the moral choice is to actually murder, commit a crime, kill a child. That is the moral choice, in my opinion.
Mm. Mm.
Now, Democrats thought for 4 years this man is literally Orange Hitler, and they weren't
Yeah,
being asked to murder a child to stop him. All they were being asked to do was dodgy up a few ballots, harvest a few ballots, do a few drop boxes which aren't quite legal in the legal grey area. Are you telling me they wouldn't do that to stop Hitler? Of course they would. Like even a
yeah,
priori evidence, of course they would do that, and they did do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then, but
Well, and look, I mean, the brass tacks are is we would not accept what they do with ballot harvesting here in Australia, and it does make me thankful to some degree. Like I've always been fairly skeptical of mandatory voting, um, but it does have to be argued. It does have to be acknowledged that mandatory voting makes serious cheating in elections almost impossible.
okay, so I want to talk about that. Yeah, and I do
Mm.
agree with you, but I want to, and that just segues into our first topic, which has in the format of our podcast, we talk about domestic issues, then US issues, and then world issues. And so the first topic I want to share my screen about is it is the 10-year anniversary of the Lindt Cafe siege. Well, it was
Huh.
yesterday or 2 days ago was it
Yeah,
was
right.
year anniversary. And the reason why I think this is an important topic is because this is, to my mind, um, an example of one of the most disgraceful episodes in Australian history of just woke virtue signaling gone mad. In the fact that, and I remember when this happened, I was in Sydney. This happened like maybe 2 or 3 kilometers away from the Navy base where I was stationed when
Mm.
this happened. And all that night on Twitter, before the victims had even been killed, like they were still there. And you would have thought on Twitter they'd be like, oh, prayers for the hostages, things like no. What was on Twitter? Some crazy hallucination about a racist backlash against poor Muslims. And there was like the hashtag I'll ride with you going super viral. And it was just absolutely disgraceful in my mind. And so what you
Have
said
you
before,
seen that? the Norm Macdonald joke.
No, I haven't.
What if Muslim terrorists detonated a nuclear bomb and killed 50 million people?
I have
Can you
actually.
imagine the backlash against innocent Muslims?
Yeah, he totally skewered her. But it's true, and this actually happened in real life. Like, just
I
moronic
don't
left.
recall that, but then I was not on Twitter at the time.
It was a huge hashtag, yeah, in 2014. I'll ride with you, like I'll sit next to you on the bus, and if you're
I
wearing a
do remember
hijab,
that actually. Yeah,
in case
that
some
was
racist
fairly
Cronulla
nauseating.
redneck,
Yeah.
wants to. And these guys hadn't even been killed yet. It was absolutely disgraceful. And so, what you were saying before about compulsory voting making fraud hard, yes, but if, one thing about the compulsory digital fingerprinting laws on social media coming in is maybe when we come back to power next year, we can go through everyone's Twitter history. And if they ever use that hashtag, I'll ride with you, we just strike them off the voter roll. Just sorry, you just cannot be trusted with the vote. And I'm semi serious about that. Seriously, what the hell? Anyway,
Yeah, look, I mean, to be honest, yeah, look, I still stand by it. I hear what you're saying, I really do. But uh my my I'm not sure what my red line for voter disqualification is. If someone was to start to say Judith Butler is just so intelligent and speaks so clearly, that would be pretty close to instant disqualification. Um, but yeah, look, that whole "I'll ride with you" thing, like, yeah, I didn't recall that it happened while the siege was going, but yeah, like, um, uh, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, you can see it here in the Palestinian stuff, uh, week after week after week. The Before there was any response from Israel at all, they were out in the street protesting, Israel's fucked, and I hate Israel, and like the the like the Macumba Mosque and all those people were out there going, "This is a day of pride," and like there's no other way to describe what happened on October 7 other than Hamas had a medieval rape party. Like, just I'm sorry, you're excluded from the Brotherhood of Humanity. You people are subhuman.
yeah, we
It's
cannot
that
have
simple.
that. We cannot have events like
I
that.
will not tolerate the existence of an organization like that.
No,
But
exactly,
end of discussion, full
exactly.
stop.
I don't
And
care who the Palestinians vote for. Hamas is going to be destroyed, and that's non-negotiable.
yeah, and like genuine sympathy for people who have been brought up in that morass and know no different. But equally, if you keep voting for Hamas, as far as I'm concerned, you get what's coming. Like no country on earth would tolerate that on their borders. None whatsoever. Like if Indonesia were running down here and kidnapping 1,000 people and chopping people's heads off and selling the heads back in Jakarta, we would whip some ass, and rightly.
Yeah.
You ever do that shit again, we will show you what terror means. Like, yeah. In any case, but then, yeah, to for like a year, it's been going on here week by week by week until 2 weeks ago. Vic polls still haven't caught the people who set fire to a synagogue.
No, of course not.
You've got Adam Bant out there trying to pretend that some Muslim school bus, like, look, it's all over. Everyone hates everyone. No, Adam Bant, no. You're an anti-Semitic piece of trash, and you've been spewing this crap for a year. You are personally responsible for egging this on.
Oh
You've
yeah.
been,
So it's yeah. So is he. Penny Wong, big time,
yeah,
has a lot
yes,
of blame for that.
and then yeah, going to the United, like as she's saying, "Oh my God, the mosque being burnt is terrible." Plus, I'm going to vote for a terror state to exist.
But and
Which is it, Penny? Which is it?
Albanese is up to it in his neck as well. He's a left wing factional member, just like Penny Wong. They're hand in hand, those two, and that may be why the latest polls, as we talked about last week, are increasingly turning against Albanese. Another poll came out on the weekend showing Dutton
Who
far.
published this one? It was
This
who
is
was
the freshwater strategy poll. This is the freshwater
oh, okay.
strategy poll from the AFR, which came out yesterday.
Yeah, right.
And it's again showing Dutton, a strong leader, 44% compared to just 31% for Albanese. And yeah, it basically shows under the ALP rules, a sitting prime minister basically cannot be removed. But I think a lot of people in Labor are wishing him.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, I don't know how they solved that problem because I mean, it like in that was like a final farewell gift from Kevin Rudd in like late 2013.
Yeah.
And it's not just PMs, right? It's also opposition leaders. So like if an opposition leader gets voted in, then the Labor rules are that you can't change them during that term.
Well,
For my money, I understand the problem that it was trying to do because like the coalition came to power on the back of it's just a revolving door of PMs, and then the coalition 3 p.m. in
that was
4
disgraceful
years.
as well. But
Um, but I mean, it makes me think though that like I would still prefer the LNP method because if Dutton was not performing, you need the ability to get rid of him, and it's a problem that they can't get rid of Albo. I mean, I don't. The trouble that they have is I don't. Their bench is not that deep. You know what I mean? Who would they
well,
pick?
if it went to it'd be Chalmers. But if it went to a
Yeah,
poll of
but
the
I
members,
mean,
the
what
best
it,
ALP
Chalmers would crash and burn.
so
The
Chalmers, yeah. Either way, Albanese is a left faction, so the
Hmm,
majority of the ALP membership is left as well. So
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
really
think
don't know who I agree, but I mean, if Chalmers would not improve their electoral prospects. I don't think. I like. I don't think it'd be interesting to see what the polling is around him and like economic management, but commodities windfall because we can't get anything out of Ukraine uh, maketh not a competent economic manager.
And I just want to make this statement as well from Redbridge,
Mm.
who's a poller. And this is what I've been talking to you about this for over a year now. He's saying this
Mm.
government was seen to put so much effort and priority into the voice. And if you look at those voice referendum result, that now mirrors beautifully with where this electoral herd is coming from. That's exactly what I said. Are you still there, Stu?
I think I am. I think my camera has crapped out,
I
but
remember
I'm
saying to you
still
at the
here.
time, the voice
Mm.
gave the Libs a map of where to target. For those Labor seats which heavily voted no to the voice, they are susceptible to a swing towards the coalition, I think. And so I said they're going to
Yeah,
have to
hard
roll
vote.
the teal seats. They just cannot appeal to those wobbly losers in those, privileged people in those teal seats. But yeah, on that topic, what about Zali Steggal? One of the teals
Mm.
claims that baseload power is antiquated. Could there be any more of a moronic statement than that?
Uh, Biological sex is an antiquated idea, but I mean, she believes that too, right?
and just the reason and what the reason why she thinks it's antiquated is even more concerning. If you read her comments, she said, um, the concept of baseload power is antiquated and proving to be more and more a thing of the past. And then she says, um, basically, yeah, the idea that we need this baseload is an antiquated idea as well. Our grid is evolving and changing. And now, with smart technology and appliances, we are able to meet the needs of the grid by turning on and off as required on demand. And that is quite terrifying when you think about it. That
Yeah, well. Yeah, no, what she's saying, but I don't know that people are necessarily hearing, but they're about to find out, is sorry, sir, your air conditioner is on and we need it off right now. The grid requires that you sacrifice now.
Exactly.
Do you remember? It's actually, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but I remember an interview. I'd have to dig it up. I'll put that down as a receipt for next week. But it's a press interview with all of you should not go to the doctor. We need people to protect the NHS. And she had like this is during COVID. She had like a real like mask off moment, like, hang on a minute, isn't that supposed to be the other way around? Isn't NHS supposed to protect people? Like,
Exactly.
yes,
This
yes,
and
that's exactly correct.
this
But
is how
similarly,
socialism works. This is
similarly, the the grid, I don't exist to make the grid's life easier. The grid exists, quite specifically, the grid exists to make my life easier, actually.
but look, this
And
is already the path we are going down. And if Labor is returned as a minority government backed by the Teals next year.
oh my God. And this is why I'm fairly confident that Dutton's gonna be, when was the last one? It's like in the 30s, right?
Yeah, 32, I think 1932 was the last time a first term government was
He's
defeated.
got the
That
bird,
was
yeah.
that was in the midst of the Depression. But look, if
Well, but
Albanese
I
gets back
mean,
in,
there's history is rhyming there, right?
if Albanese gets back in, I think buy Tesla shares because rich people are not going to be held ransom to the grid. This is what they're going
Oh
to get.
no.
This is what they're going to buy. Every single rich person is going to have this sort of a setup, and they're not going to care about, it's going the burden is going to fall on the poor and the middle class and renters. So yeah, look,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And look, I mean, I don't know, like it's interesting as well. Like you talk about like they blast heat waves here um these days. Like they're talking about heat waves over and over and over and again. But the real risk to human life is not heat, it's cold.
mm,
Energy poverty in winter is way more dangerous. I mean, cooling was only really became ubiquitous in homes towards the late 90s. You know what I mean? It's
mm.
only very recent that we've been able to manage
Oh, when I was
heat.
growing up, we had fans. We didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah,
No, that's
same.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't live in a centrally cooled house till I was over 30.
No, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, this is the kind of setup that everyone with a means to get is going to get, and poor people maybe they'll get one of these. You're going to need it. I'll show you what I've got. I've got one of these. It's a fold-up solar panel, and you
Oh,
can
yeah.
charge your phone at least with it. It actually does work to charge your phone.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, if there's an outage, I won't be totally dark, but it's a bit of a worry, honestly. If they
It's
revert
extremely
back to
concerning.
third world
Someone,
status.
yeah, it's extremely concern. I mean, and it's just wrong. You know what I mean? Like this yeah, and baseload power is antiquated, which is why once Germany got rid of baseload power, we're watching it deindustrialize in front of our eyes. Because
Yeah.
yeah, like it's so dumb, man. Like, it- and you're right. Like it'll be a situation where certain professions are are shielded from it because they're tertiary in nature. But the large chunk of the economy that keeps everyone afloat in primary and manufacturing, that will go
Mm.
because we can't afford the energy. Like,
Yeah, it'll be more decentralized and not competitive on a global scale, and it might continue, but just less efficiently. So yeah.
yeah, oh well, look, I mean, we're already in pretty big trouble manufacturing wise anyway,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, an aluminium smelter plant, those things are designed to run 24/7, which means they need 24/7 power or baseload power.
Mm.
So if you want to refine metals at all in Australia, which Zali can't really wrap her noodle around, yeah. So if you want all the shit that goes into a battery, you've got to have electricity here. And yeah, like every time I hear about like we're gonna do green aluminum smelting, and it's like, oh, the
Isn't
project went bust and it's consumed $30 million in government grants. Oh no shit.
what a surprise.
It's like it was set up to consume the grants and not produce a goddamn thing.
Funny that.
I'm not
Okay.
calling Twiggy Forrester a fraud for legal
I'm
reasons,
happy to.
but
I'm happy to. He get
but
Twiggy.
I'm here to say his green hydrogen. Oh my God, it didn't work. I'm
When
so shocked that green hydrogen didn't work. That's a real surprise there, Twiggy. How many
when my
millions of dollars of grants did you take? 100 million? Oh, cool, cool.
look when my next novel is released, I'm fairly sure Twiggy, Turnbull, Holmes a Court, and Mike Cannon-Brookes are going to sue me for defamation. Bring it on. Bring it on. That's all I can say. I've got truth on my side. So anyway, let's move on to on that note. Let's move on to an international issue. Oh, sorry, not
Hmm.
international, a US issue. And I'm sharing my screen now of Crystal Magnum. Crystal Magnum
Well,
has come out, and it turns out that she lied about the Duke rape scandal.
you can't trust a 20-year-old baby mama stripper.
If you can't trust
Who
that,
can you
who can you?
trust?
No.
What has the world come to?
Yeah. So, and
Shocking.
someone here says that actually this was the dawn of the BMA era, the bullshit mass accusation era, which ushered in the era of woke. And so I've been trying to calculate when did the era of woke start. A lot of people think it started in 2015 with the Obergefell verdict.
For my money, I'd peg it closer to my money. I would peg it closer to 2012. But
That's what I was thinking too.
yes,
Definitely in 2014, as we saw 10 years ago with the Lindt cafe siege, the
it was underway.
hideous, sanctimonious virtue signaling, which was a hallmark of the woke era, was in full swing with the "I'll ride with you" hashtag, which was absolutely disgraceful. So that was before 2015. Yeah, I think 2012 is a good. It was Obama's second term. He didn't have to win re-election again. 2013, we had the Trayvon Martin affair where Obama was like, "Oh, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin," and just like whipping
Did
up
he say that
these
about Trayvon Martin or what was the Ferguson kid? Michael Brown?
Michael Brown. That's a good. If I had a son, let's see. Yeah, Trayvon Martin. And if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon Martin. You know, Trayvon.
Mm.
Yeah, this is he just whipped up these horrible racial grievances in America. He set American race relations back 30 years. Racism was almost dead.
Oh, you're not 30 years, man. He said it back like pre-civil rights era. I
Yeah,
he is the worst thing to happen in race relations to America.
by the end of his second term, there
Like
were
pretty much period.
cops were
Like
being murdered in the streets in cold blood by be it like by
hmm,
Black Lives Matter activists. And it was just what an absolute
who was the Chief Justice who decided Dred Scott? I
oh.
mean, he might be worse for race relations. Um, but it's a photo finish with Barack Obama. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was horrific. Um,
uh, yeah, that's 170 years ago. Wow. Yeah, just
the
going back.
not a highlight for race relations
There
in
is
America.
Roger Brooke Taney.
Yeah, arguably the worst he ever wrote.
That's one way of putting it.
What?
Thank you for your even-handedness, Britannica. But yeah, no.
It was pretty bad, but there were others. There were others.
But I think yeah, and so people are saying okay, the woke era was from 2015 to or earlier. Maybe some people saying from
Mm.
2006 with the Duke lacrosse affair, or maybe 2012, like you and I are saying. And it ended in with the election of Trump in 2024, a stinging rebuke of wokeism. It already started to turn with the Dylan Mulvaney of Bud Light affair, But yeah, it just
Yeah.
came. I think yeah, and having having what's her name? Crystal Magnum, the stripper, come out
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
apologize.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
maybe
I listened to Megan Kelly recounting her memory of it. It's a well worth the podcast because it was actually her beat. So she was a baby court reporter at the time it happened, and so she went down to Durham to report it, and she said virtually instantly, I was like, nah, doesn't add up. Um,
no,
and
yeah.
like without getting into the weeds of it, like they did a rape kit, and they found multiple sources of DNA in her in her. Not one of them matched any of the three people that she accused. So just to back up there a little bit, a baby mama, 20-year-old stripper with multiple sources of DNA inside her turned out to be lying about a rape case. No kidding.
Color me surprised.
Yeah, yeah. What are the odds? But yeah, I mean, the yeah, in terms of pinning down work, I mean, look, I think they're very big on James Lindsay's quite good on this. The Marxists are very good at making moments like pregnant for a big rush forward of their ideas. So all the essential writings that underpin, especially like Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, they're all from like the 70s and early 80s.
Mm,
But so that seemingly organic explosion of race hatred, the groundwork for that to air quotes make the moment pregnant had been laid for like 2 decades. But
mm,
I would say, I and it's not my analysis originally, although I must admit that I was in England at the time and went to those Occupy Wall Street uh, events and realized very, very quickly that, oh, this is just a bunch of communists.
yeah.
Um, uh, but I realized very, very quickly that yes, it was just a bunch of communists, but there was something to um, uh, like we're getting a very stratified level of wealth in Western countries, and that is something that if left completely unchecked, will somewhat rightly justify resentment. Like in Australia, housing affordability is out of control, and it's not. You can't blame Gina Reinhart for planning decisions in Dandenong, um, and that the planning decisions in Dandenong are what drive the housing prices. But those wealthy people become a convenient scapegoat, and Marxists are only too happy to pour fuel on that fire. But I think the banks, Goldman Sachs, those types of people, they made a devil's bargain in 2012, and to disarm the Occupy stuff because in particular, I think people were rightly very angry that
The bailouts.
banks all got bailed out following 2007.
I'm still
Now,
angry. I'm
I
still angry
would,
about that.
well, yeah, and I would hasten to add that I'm yet to meet a right-wing, laissez-faire, free marketeer person who thought bailing out the banks was a good idea. Most people were like, George Bush is promising to do what? At the time. Like, no, 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 no. You don't bail out investment bankers. They took the risk. Now they get to eat the lunch. They bought the ticket. We didn't buy the ticket. Um, and then I remember at the time you made a very astute observation that those collateralized debt swaps, like, I mean, the thing's more complicated, I suppose, but at the root of it, you were right. Like selling a product that insures against the risk of the market kind of guarantees the collapse of the market because why would you take the risk in the market? You go to the insurance, but the insurance is only valuable while the market is traveling well. So you create the market flight that brings the whole thing unstuck. But I mean, like, obviously there was a lot going on there, but people were rightly very, very angry. And I would hasten to add that although Bush did start TARP, Barack Obama was the one who did most of the bank bailout.
Oh, fully. Yeah, he was totally on board. Yeah, he was in the bank. He was in the bankster's pocket. Yeah, and that's analysis I have also heard before is that yeah, in order to redirect the community, you know,
Rage, yeah.
about bailouts, they distracted them with what's it called? Like identitarianism and
Yeah, like critical
sex-
race theory and
yeah,
gender
critical
theory.
all that, yeah, all that to try and redirect them from the fact that but yeah, the establishment basically funneled public money to private. They they
Hmm.
what's
Yeah.
it called? You capitalism on the profits, but socialism on the losses.
On the losses, yeah. So they socialized the risks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I think, look, I mean, the analysis does get complicated because like I remember watching interviews with people who like they'd bought their apartment for 400,000 US in New York and their bank was foreclosing on it and fire selling it at like $7,000 because they're like, we've just got to get out. We've got to take what we can.
Mm.
And so that's like someone's home and their life savings, and you know what I mean? So like in that sense, like a bailout preventing like a round of people losing their homes is theoretically justified, but the way I would have played it is deal with the mortgages, not the banks. Deal with the mortgager, not the mortgagee. Like, no, no, no,
Mm.
no, mortgagee. You had your lax lending standards.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you're going to take the haircut on this, but we're not making a whole bunch of people homeless because you took insane, crazy risks. But
right.
as it relates to this, yeah, I mean that there's a certain. I was listening to Alan Dershowitz the other day, and he makes this point fairly frequently, actually. But he said Thomas Jefferson said the criminal law needs to be clear. And the standard for clarity is that a man should be able to hold the statute in front of his face while running down the street and be able to understand the crimes. And it is a hallmark of socialism to have vaguely defined crimes. And
Yes,
that's what I see
you
in that case.
criminalize everything, and then you only prosecute the enemies of the
Yeah, and
establishment. That's the
it
strategy.
opens up prosecutorial discretion to an unacceptable degree, and you just go after your enemies. And that's what I see with this funny business with sexual crimes, and it's happening around the world. Like, yeah, like the Sofronoff report into Shane Drumgold's decision to prosecute, he blasted him. They're just not. You don't have. There was never any reasonable prospect of proving Brittany Higgins was raped beyond a reasonable doubt. None
Mm.
whatsoever. And I think that judgment for the defamation, I just still can't wrap my head around it. I haven't read the whole thing, but he basically said she was telling the truth for about 3 months, which included when the alleged rape happened. And then after that, she started lying about everything all of the time.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. On what basis was she truthful here and a serial, remorseless, unrepentant liar for 3 straight years?
Yes.
Like,
Very strange pattern
sure.
of behavior. Let's move
Yeah.
on. We only have 3 minutes until the Zoom
All
clock runs
right.
out. So let's move on to our final topic, which is going to be about world politics, and it is about the infamous Justin Castro.
It's a remarkable likeness, isn't it?
He's got, yeah, he is going to, and he possibly as early as tonight, he will be removed from power. Yeah,
You
he
reckon he's
lost.
gone, huh? I have not been following Canadian politics all that closely, although I did see Trump call him Governor Castro.
He'll be gone very soon. Probably replaced. There'll probably be an election very soon, and the Pierre, the whatever
Do you
his
reckon
name,
he's going to get the flick, or is he going to get or that
Ca
he'll call an election?
Justin Castro is gone. Either way, there'll be an election. He might
Oh
be
no, no, no.
replaced
So
as
do you
early
think
as
his party is going to give him the flick, or do you think he's going
possibly,
to?
possibly. We'll have to see, but he didn't last as long as his father in power. But yeah, look at that likeness. There's no doubt about it. It's
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 uncanny.
concerning. It really is. And what gives the conspiracy theory legs is that his mum met her,
Oh
met
yeah,
Kat.
yeah. Yeah, they were family friends with the Castros. So. And if you look at his, who's supposedly his real dad, it's like some nerd. There's just no chance. No, sorry. This is one of those situations where you can't tell me not to believe my lying eyes. Like, sorry, I'm not going to be deceived. You can gaslight me. I'm sure you can gaslight me just as much as everyone else, but up to up to the
I
stage of not
look,
believing my own lying eyes, I'm not going to. Yeah.
yeah, look, I mean, it it's a staggering coincidence that she spent a lot of time with Fidel Castro and her son happens to be the spitting image of Fidel Castro.
This
Um,
guy ruined Canada. Canada had been fairly well governed for decades up until he came to power in
yeah,
2015.
do not get me started on, but I mean, he's a prime example, right, of the creating vague laws to deal with those truckers. He started just
Mm.
making up
Oh,
laws.
exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
unbelievable.
So
Um,
yeah. So we're less than a minute now. So we better wrap it up. But thanks for joining me, Stu. Sorry, sorry, your camera.
but oh no, that's
Went through.
okay. It's I should stump up for like the high res stuff that you've got going on. I look washed out and blurry by comparison.
Once we get some viewers, I think they're going to demand that. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Thanks again, Stu. See you next week.
Okay, see ya.